Hello and welcome to another episode of When We Are Healed. Ooh, some really dense energies have been coming up for me the last couple of weeks, and I am aware that it has been for many of you too. So I just want to start by reminding you that you're never alone in this. No matter what dense, gnarly, heavy, dark stuff comes up, that everything that we're feeling, it might seem like it's our feeling, it's our heaviness, it's our this, our that, but it's actually everything's in that collective soup of consciousness. The energy that we're feeling is the energy in the collective, as within, so without. So I'm not an astrologer, but some of my friends tell me, who are more well-versed in astrology, that there is some movement with the planets that might have something to do with this. Anyways, we're not alone. We're never alone. And it's good to remind ourselves of this, especially when shit hits the fan, excuse my French, or things that you thought already were healed or you already let go of comes back. All of those is a part of the journey. It's part of the healing process. You're never doing anything wrong when density comes up, when you get triggered, when life seems to throw you a curveball and you find yourself saying, WTF, God? This is all part of the process. I know that doesn't make you feel better necessarily, maybe. I know in my worst, when in my heaviest, most challenged moments, even if I'm told I'm not alone or I'm not, it's all in the collective, I have to say a part of me is like, I don't care, make this go away, I just want to feel better. So if that's where you are right now, all my love to you, all my love and compassion to you. I feel you. I can so relate to it, trust me. Anyways, so one of the things that has been coming up for me is this heaviness, depression, even though it's not like I'm really depressed and I can't get out of bed sort of thing. It's an energy of heaviness, of depression, of a little bit of apathy, of being unmotivated, of what's the point of doing anything? That's the kind of energy that's been coming up for me. And I have learned through years of practice to not judge it, or more accurately, if I notice myself judging it and resisting it and making it wrong, that there is this heaviness and depression that's arising in me, then I've learned to soften my body, take a couple of deep breaths, and just let it be, surrender to it. Let it be okay that it's here. Whether we label it depression, whether it's more of an agitating, fearful, anxious energy, maybe it's grief, maybe it's anger and frustration, whatever it is, it's just energy moving through. And the fact that you are feeling it right now means it is moving. It is being released. It's on its way out. Yes, it could intensify before it resolves or dissolves, but it's moving. And emotions, all emotions are energies in motion, energy in motion. That's all it is. and it's meant to move. It wants to move. So there's a very popular, very widespread misconception that spiritually advanced, awakened, enlightened people don't have any negative thoughts or emotions. One of my favorite authors, David Hawkins, writes about this in his book, Letting Go, one of my absolute favorite books of all times that I keep recommending to everybody. He talks about this myth that a lot of spiritual students really believe in, and that they're not supposed to have negativity come up if they're doing this right. As if there is such a thing as doing this right? And that used to be me, and it still is me in many ways, I have to say, that there's this very strong belief that negativity is wrong and I want to just be positive, right? And so when the density comes up, when the heaviness comes up, when the anxiety, depression, the anger, the grief, frustration, all of that, whatever variation of the quote unquote negative arises, the suffering mostly comes from judging it. The suffering comes mostly from resisting it, making it wrong that we're feeling it. When in fact, all emotions are sacred messengers. One of my favorite Rumi poems is called The Guest House. Maybe you are familiar with it. And it is such a beautiful poem that I find myself returning to over and over and over again, that says, basically, I'm going to summarize it because I think for copyright reasons, I'm not supposed to recite it word for word the way it's translated. Anyway, so in case you don't know, the guest house describes the experience of being human and compares things that come up as guests that knock on your door. You are the guest house, and these emotions are the guests that come knocking on your door. And Rumi says, meet all of them, invite them in. Even if it's a storm of anger or rage or meanness or darkness, let it all in, invite them in, welcome them, entertain them all, because they are messengers that were sent to you from the beyond. And to the thinking mind, this makes absolutely no sense, right? And why would I ever want to invite in a guest who would rage, who would unleash the rage and make a mess inside my house, right? But the thing is, being able to feel is a gift. It took me so long to really understand that experientially, but I'm having glimpses of that even in the midst of the darkest, heaviest moments of, wow, this is so dense and so intense and it sucks. But wow, I get to feel this. Being able to experience this density, this quote unquote negativity, is somehow a blessing, somehow a privilege. This human experience, this being human, is this incredible gift from the beyond. The fact that we can experience movement, whether physically or energetically, is a gift, and emotions are just an integral part of that, right? And there's another common myth that negative emotions are toxic and that they make you sick. And I learned from my teacher, Dr. Kim Duramo, that this is also not true. It's the suppression, the repression, the resistance to the negative emotions that then prevent them from moving, which then creates quote unquote toxicity in your system because it's energy that's trying to move. And when it can't move out, then it has to go somewhere and it's kind of stuck and it kind of ferments and rots. And, if you think of a river that gets blocked, what happens when it turns into a swamp and it gets all this stuff starts growing and festering and gets muddy. And so that's it. It's the resistance, the judgment, the making it wrong, trying not to feel it, pushing it away, clamping down. That's what's quote unquote makes it toxic. It's not the emotions in and of themselves. And they say that if we allow emotions to move with no resistance whatsoever, it's supposed to move through a whole system in like 10, 12 seconds. And this is so important to remember, especially when really heavy stuff come up. I feel called to share with you what it was like in my darkest moments. This was around the year, what was it, 2008, 2009. I lived in New York City. I was in my late 20s. I spent the past decade prior to that pursuing a career in dance and performing arts. And I was starting to feel really burnt out mentally, emotionally, physically. I had a pretty debilitating back pain that received a diagnosis that basically said, the doctor basically said to me, I would stop dancing if you can. Which is so funny to think now that, the way we are told we can't do this anymore, or we have to choose between health or giving up our joy, or lots of stuff comes up with that. But anyway, so a lot of things were happening at the same time, physically, mentally, emotionally. And it just kind of sent me down this really dark night of the soul sort of phase where I was feeling really depressed. And if I were to give it words, like I couldn't stand myself. Like I just couldn't stand being me. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and just feeling so sad and so hopeless, full of despair, just not even understanding why I was feeling so sad and so wrong. And at the time, my husband and I lived in this pretty small junior 1-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. And I would go to the bathroom because that was the only room with a door. And I would cry in the bathroom for who knows how long, because I didn't want to disturb my husband's sleep, but I just didn't know what else to do. I was just feeling so sad and so depressed. And honestly, if I were to be really honest, I did not have suicidal ideations. I did not have thoughts of actually committing suicide, but I did have the recurrent thought that I just want to disappear. I just want to disappear. Oh, yeah. Really heavy stuff. So if that's where you've been or you are in right now, I just want to give you a big virtual hug and let you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. And even though I know how wrong it feels, and even though it's honestly the worst feeling in the world, right? Like hating yourself so much that you want to disappear. It is, I'm going to say it, it's almost normal in the human experience for that to come up at one point or another. Normal as in, that is not our true nature, but in the human experience of identifying with a small separate body, a small separate self that's cut off from source, that's separate from everybody else, whose worth depends on what other people think, whose worth depends on what you accomplish, how you perform, whose worth is conditional in any way, shape, or form. How could you not get depressed, right? How could you not get depressed? How could you not get depressed if you really are this body that is mortal and would eventually die? How could we not get depressed if that is our true reality? So I'm just going to say it. To me, depression is a normal part of the human experience, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not saying that when I say nothing is wrong with it, I'm not saying that that is what we should feel all the time. No, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that doesn't mean anything about you. There's nothing wrong with you if you're experiencing that. And when really dark stuff comes up, really painful stuff comes up, what they call a dark night of the soul, they call it the dark night of the soul because it is more often than not a precursor to a period of great expansion, great change. Because I found that the depression, the energy of depression was telling me, it was my system telling me that my old coping mechanisms are no longer working. All the things that I've stuffed down, shoved down, judged, try not to feel, has come to a threshold that the system can no longer keep it under the surface. It has to come up. And if I've been harboring judgment towards myself, all these attack thoughts towards myself, all these anger, frustration towards myself, then it has to come up. It has to come up. You have to let it come up for it to move out. So even though it felt so hard, there was something in me that knew that there is more to this. There's more to me than this. And I don't know how to heal from this, but I'm willing to see it differently. I'm willing to have a new relationship with myself. So I remember the first thing I did when the energy did start to shift after many nights of just crying my eyes out in the bathroom in the wee hours of the night, was that I just embraced that I was going through depression. I went to therapy for the first time in my life. I wrote an email to my closest people, family and friends, just letting them know that that's what I'm going through. I think I just let them know that that's what I was going through. I don't remember if I said anything else, but I just let them know that that's what I was going through. So in that way, I just let the light shine on it instead of keeping it hidden and keeping it to myself. So that was my first step. And, I don't really remember it just being lifted out of me. It was a very gradual process of going to therapy, and that also reinvigorated my interest and passion in the spiritual path as well. So lots of baby steps shifted me out of that really, really, really dark place. And I'm so grateful for my husband and my family and my friends who are so supportive of me throughout that whole process. This is about 15, 16 years ago. Yeah. So, and I also want to mention, in my journey, there's been multiple periods of darkness, multiple times that felt really challenging and really dense stuff came up. And even in the quote unquote lighter periods, these heaviness would come in smaller intensity every now and then. And what was most helpful for me was to really just embrace it as a part of this human experience, as a part of the journey, as a part of life, and that it is just energy. And there is no good or bad energy, even though when we talk about emotions and consciousness, we label it positive and negative, whether it's life affirming or whether it's destructive, quote unquote. But it really is a continuum. It's a spectrum. It's not this cut and clear, cut and dry, this is all negative and this is all positive, or that you go beyond this point and it's all positive always. It's not like that. It's messy. It's a dance. It's a wave. It's a spiral. It's a continuum. And, if you think of the rainbow, the red in the rainbow is technically a quote unquote lower frequency than the purple, which is a higher frequency. But is red better than purple? Is purple better than red? That's all just subjective. So I'm more and more, I prefer not to put the label negative on emotions or thoughts so much, and to just let it be part of the colors, the spectrum of life, just energy moving through. And really, when you embrace whatever is here, whatever emotion is here, and not make it wrong, my teachers say, welcome it. And I know that for myself, it's often very difficult to really welcome it. So I start by just saying, it's okay that this is here. It's okay for me to feel what I'm feeling right now. Just acceptance and a willingness to allow it. And that is already a higher frequency than that heaviness. That is already you aligning more closely with the love and the light that you truly are. The mind wants to know, what else am I supposed to do to make this go away? I can't possibly just welcome it, and that couldn't possibly be the solution. But it kind of is. It is. You presencing the emotion, the energy is so much more powerful than anything else that you might try to do to make it go away. Because when we try to make it go away, we are in resistance and we're actually perpetuating it. We're keeping it stuck. We're preventing it from moving through. And what you resist persists. So just for this moment even, can you be in full acceptance of what you're feeling, everything that you're noticing in your awareness? And even just for a moment, can you let it be okay? Can you give it full permission to be here, including the thought that I don't like this and I want this to go away? Include the resistance in that. Oh, there's so much resistance. I'm resisting this so hard. Include all of it. Allow all of it. And soften your shoulders and breathe into your belly. That is it. What opens up, what becomes possible when you just dare to embrace it instead of pushing it away? The heaviness, the darkness, the depression, the frustration, the anger, the grief, the shame, the guilt. Just feeling what it feels like in your body, where you feel it in your body. Just reveling in the pure physical sensation of it. And just notice what happens when you do that, how you feel when you do that. This moment, in this moment, all is well, even if my thoughts say otherwise. In this moment, I am fully supported, even if the mind says otherwise. I am breathing, I am here, I am presencing what is here. And what if that's enough? And so I'm so grateful that you received this sharing, this transmission from me today. Thank you so much for listening till the end. When really dense stuff comes up and when you feel like there's no way out, you feel so stuck, one of the things that can be so helpful is to be in the presence of someone who can hold space for you of safety and non-judgment and facilitate your presence, facilitate you moving through it and allowing it. And so if receiving one-on-one support resonates with you, I have coaching sessions available this summer, and you can start with just a single session. All information is on my website at rieko.co, rieko.co. I'm sending you so much love, and even if it doesn't feel like it, when you're willing to be with what's here, and I might sound like a broken record, but when you allow yourself to feel what you feel, that is such a badass spiritual warrior move or human move, whatever. We're both spirit and human. And you're moving mountains for everybody. And we're relearning to feel our emotions so that we can heal together. And we're doing this together. So thank you so much for being here. Sending you so much love. And I'll see you soon. If you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to come check out our Substack at whenwearehealed.com, where you can subscribe to keep in touch and get show notes emailed to you. Sending you lots of love, and I'll see you in the next episode